friends, welcome back. And now that we're at least a little bit comfortable reading rhythms on uke, it's time to throw notes into the equation. In written music, we write on what's called a staff, which contains 5 lines and 4 spaces. Now, each of these lines and spaces corresponds to a specific pitch or note. Now, I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but this section really does come down to repetition and memorization. That's life. But once you have it, it's never going to go away. This will be just like reading a book when you were a child. It takes a little bit of time, but it's a rudimentary language. You do have to memorize these notes, but there are some ways to make it a little bit easier. Each of the spaces in here just happens to spell out the word face. Our bottom space is F, and then we have A, C, and E. Now, when I was a child, I was taught that the lines are easy to remember as every good boy does fine. Now, I know a lot of people have other devices to remember the spaces and lines, so please put them in the comments. I always love to read them. Or come up with your own device to help you memorize this. I will link some worksheets down below and some quizzes on music theory sites so you can just do some fill-in-the-blank exercises and really just start to memorize these. But moving on, we need to also recognize that there are notes outside of the lines and spaces, and these are what are called sharps and flats. So if we fret the C on the 3rd fret of our A string, that is a C. If we wanted to play a C flat, flat means that we are going to lower the pitch by 1/2 step. Or in our case on uke, that just means 1 fret. So we'll go 1 fret closer to the nut to make it a lower note. So that would be a C flat. Now likewise, if we wanted to play a C sharp, or in younger terms, C hashtag possibly, we would move this up closer to the bridge 1 fret. So the 4th fret would be our C sharp. And we can do this with any and all notes to make 1/2 step movement. So I've written on the page below all of our sharps and flats, all of the notes that we will need to get around here, but there's one other issue that we need to address, and that's what are called key signatures. We don't really want to write a piece of music that has millions of sharps and flats all over it. It's just too much tax on our brain. We can't really handle it. So to help us, we have what are called key signatures. And what we do is we put a specific number of sharps and flats at the beginning of a song to tell us that those notes, you'll see that they are on the corresponding line for that sharp or flat, will always be sharp or flat unless otherwise notated in the music. So in the key of C major, we have no sharps and flats. And we'd go up by a 5th, which would be G major. We will have 1 sharp and we will continue around. And this is called the circle of fifths. Now, I'm not going to harp on this too much. This again comes down to memorization, but I am going to link below to a YouTube playlist in which I have taught all 12 of these keys and their relationships on uke, including with a tune to play on the instrument for each and every key. And they certainly get harder as we have more sharps and flats. Again, this section unfortunately comes down to memorization, but if you take maybe 5 to 10 minutes a day to just work through your key signatures and the names of your notes and start to internalize these, soon it will be like second nature. Next week, we're going to talk about where all of these notes are on our instrument. I'll see you there.